This video today is going to show you how to create a clay plate. So let's talk about the tools you need. Obviously some clay, you're going to need a wooden carving tool, a plate, a cup with water in it, a rolling pin, and this gray material is actually a vinyl strip, and that is a material that's going to help protect your table from having your clay stick to it. So the first thing you want to do is we're going to flatten out our clay because we're trying to make a plate. So you can just use the weight of your own body and really kind of press it down to start, but then we're going to start to introduce the rolling pin. So I press it down as much as I can. I'm standing up for this to really make it so I can transfer a lot of power. Now some people will roll like this, but I noticed that it's actually easier to transfer more of your power and more of your energy if you use the middle. And the idea is we're trying to make our plate bigger than the existing plate that we have as a template, right? That's our mold that we're going to use. So I'm going to roll this out until it is eventually bigger than that original plate. I could do some measuring now to make sure that the plate is smaller than the clay slab that I've rolled out. And there's another vocabulary we should talk about. A slab is a flat piece of clay. So I put my template up against it. Clearly the clay is bigger than that. So now I would use my carving tool and I would just cut that out. So all I'm going to do is drag my carving tool along and I'm going to cut out the entire piece until I have a circle. So I've carved away the extra. Now I can peel this off to reveal that I do in fact have a circle. At this time you're going to want to put your name on it. Please put your first and last name on it. I'm just going to write Mr. D for this one so we know that's mine. Please use your carving tool nice and neat so I can read it. Now, with the name going down, so it's going to flip downward, we're going to put this onto the plate mold, and now it's just a matter of really mushing it down and making it so that the clay will take the shape of the plate. I'm just pressing it down, pressing the inside, pressing on the outside. I don't really want my thumbprint to be in there, so I'm going to smooth that off, and that water will come into play a little bit later. So I'm just going to sit here, I'm just going to smooth some of this off. So my clay has taken on the shape of the plate, and now it's really a waiting game. I'm going to put it off on a shelf in a designated area and allow it to dry until next week. So it is dried, and notice also how it has changed colors. It is now what's called bone dry. It's shrunk a little bit too, and that's what happens when the moisture has left the clay. Now it's time to glaze it. So we know that that glaze is like a special liquid that turns your clay shiny. So you're going to need a palette. You're also going to need a paintbrush, and I'm going to use green for today. So notice it says gloss glaze, and it's going to be green. So I'm going to pour myself a little bit, probably right up to the top of that well. And now I'm just going to go ahead and start glazing it. Now, this is the one time where you really are allowed to glob it on there. You can really put it on thick. There's only one rule. You can't glaze the bottom, because what happens is glaze is more like a super glue. So when it goes in the kiln, that machine that heats it up and makes it super hot so it'll become shiny, it will actually stick to the kiln, and I would have to break your work to get it free from the kiln. So please do not put any glaze in the bottom. However, you may glaze this entire thing and really, really glob it on there today. The plate is at a point where it is pretty much dried off, and now the last step would be to put it back in the kiln, and it's going to undergo a chemical reaction where the glaze is going to become shiny. So this is where you would turn it in and get it ready to be fired. So it's gone into the kiln, and notice what happens. The green that you had there actually changes a little bit. So it was this lighter pastel type green, and now it's turned into this nice shiny darker green. And as long as you put a few coats on there, it's going to give you this really nice gloss effect. And that is your clay plate project.